Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. Our webinar today is on automating your accounts payable processes with Procurify. So we are at 1 o'clock Eastern, so we're going to jump in and get started. But first, a few housekeeping notes. So first, we are recording the session and we're going to share it out with all of you and make it available on our website a day or two following the session today. So look out for that. Second, we're going to be answering your questions live at the end of the presentation. So you can submit questions using the Q&A tab that you'll see at the bottom of Zoom here. You can submit those questions at any time in the presentation, and we'll circle back to them at the end at that point. And then third, we'll also be sharing a feedback survey in the follow-up email, and we would really appreciate it if you could complete this to help us improve our webinars that we do here at Procurify. We're always looking to make sure that we're creating content that's going to resonate with you and provide value for you. So any feedback that you have on today's session would be super appreciated. We have 3 Procurify team members on the call today who will be taking some part of the presentation and who will be here to answer your questions at the end. So we have Yishi here, who leads our product management and product design teams. Myself, Josh, I lead our product marketing team, and Nick leads our solution consulting team. So what will we be discussing today? Well, we're going to start off by just level setting on where AP teams focus and the challenges that they face. We'll then go into talking about the promise of leveraging automation to improve your AP processes. She's going to share our point of view on why a big part of being able to automate AP is by unifying procurement and AP workflows. I'll give a brief overview of some of the key capabilities that we've built at Procurify to make AP teams more efficient and more effective in your day-to-day. And then Nick's going to jump in and is going to walk us through some of these key capabilities in a live product demo. And then we'll close it all off with some of the dedicated time for answering questions, as I mentioned earlier. So let's get right into it. AP teams are responsible for managing their company's financial obligations. Really, it's about making sure that you're paying the right things at the right times. This includes tasks like verifying the legitimacy of invoices to protect against rogue internal spend and/or fraudulent external spend, reviewing invoices to ensure they match what went out in the approved purchase order, ensuring accurate and timely payments, confirming the correct assignment of account codes, and maintaining organized records for auditing and compliance purposes. Now, that's a lot on the plate of AP professionals, and it comes with some challenges. In fact, in a 2024 report on AP trends, half of the respondents said that the top challenges that they faced were too much manual data entry and slow processes due to either invoice exception delays and/or data errors and discrepancies. And I don't know if any of those would be a surprise for the AP folks on the call here today either. Manually processing invoices is a really time-consuming and really labor-intensive effort. Not only does it drag down the invoice processing process, but it dominates the time of the AP specialist, which makes it really hard to do anything but just be a reactive function handling that influx of invoices as they come in. And not only does it take a lot of time, but any manual task is going to risk data input errors. And this is compounded significantly as you start doing this at scale with a high volume of invoices. And companies producing dozens or hundreds or even thousands of invoices a week are going to increasingly feel that pain. For a process as sensitive as getting bills paid, that can have majorly negative consequences on your business. And then finally, there's a lot of friction in the process itself. Information about orders and approvals are dispersed in organizations, and there isn't always clarity for who to go to in order for AP teams to get the information that they need on what to pay and when. And these challenges can lead to significant issues in your business, like overspending, like disputed or delayed payments, or financial compliance gaps. So I'm going to pass it over to Yishi briefly to talk about how these challenges can be solved for AP teams.
Thank you, Josh. So at Procurify, we want to help you automate the AP process. And we know that by doing this, you will see a lot of benefits, including First, reduce invoice processing time. That's the most obvious one, right? The AP automation can significantly speed up the invoice processing, payments, and reconciliation tasks, saving time and resources. Increase AP team efficiency and productivity. By automating these routine tasks, the AP team can move faster and use the time saved to focus on higher value activities. Like Josh said, they're specialists. Reduce time for invoice payment. Speeding through processing and matching means the payment can be made on time, if not early, fostering stronger vendor relationships and potential discounts. Improved oversight and transparency. Automation provides greater visibility into businesses to do bill payments, help you control rogue spending, and identify fraudulent activities. Last but definitely not least, enhance compliance. Automation creates clarity and reduce error rates, increasing compliance with internal organizational policies as well as those external regulations. So you may think, maybe I have this covered with my ERP system or accounting software already, but while these systems may handle some basics like purchase orders, they lack the real-time visibility into spending. They also don't specialize in approvals, leaving gaps in the P2P, the procure-to-pay process that cause delays, bottlenecks, and miscontrols. Also, without the proactive spend management, you are reacting to invoices instead of preventing issues like overspending or unapproved purchases. A P2P system really bridges these gaps. It offers full visibility and seamless integration across procurement and AP. But first, we have to look at what's standing in the way of being able to automate the AP process. Yes, you can implement innovative technologies to speed up the manual tasks. We know we live in the day and the age of AI, but there's more to AP than data input. And we need to understand how we can better automate that for the AP teams. So let's zoom out. If we zoom out, processing and paying invoices is a downstream function of the holistic purchasing process. Each step in the process builds on the next. First, upstream, the purchase request provides the context on the need, and the request approval provides the confirmation of that need. Then the purchase order. The purchase order provides the verification of what we're committing to purchasing, and the item receipts really gives the finance team the go-ahead to proceed with payments. Last, when the invoice is received, the AP team can finally verify the details to ensure that the vendor is charging what the vendor is charging is exactly what we're committing to in the PO. And with all these previous steps, the accounting team can confidently proceed with the bill payment. But you may say, this ideal case isn't always the case in our organization. It's not as easy as it's laid out in the slide, and we fully recognize that. So while each team optimizes for their tasks, requesting, purchasing, paying, etc., procurement and AP often, as we know, operates in silos. And for many businesses, AP teams are sent invoices with very little or none of the context they need to be able to confidently proceed with the payment. So when the linking chain between procurement and account payable is broken, it ends up leading to a lot of organizational issues, including but definitely not limited to redundant data entry, reactive budgets, reconciliation headaches, and poor data hygiene. AP team in this type of environments are now downstream. This has many negative impacts on both the IP team itself and on how your organization manages the AP process generally. It increases the risk of errors being made in the process. It means you're missing out on cost-saving opportunities. Or even worse, it may delay payments, which can severely harm the relationship between you and your vendors. It also leads to the AP teams being reactive, being a reactive function, not having the context or data required to be proactive and strategic in their role. And sadly, it burns out our AP team members. So the key to truly automating account payable is by connecting the end-to-end procure-to-pay process. Of course, AI tools are great. They're great for extracting data. They're great for automating manual data entries, but that is only part of the AP process. It's automation without the context. And you need the context in order to have the confidence to know the when, the what, the how, and the why of your spend. When procurement and payments are managed in the same system, that context flows effortlessly downstream, and the teams can move faster and more easily manage their financial operations at scale. So what does that look like? First, you can speed up the steps to do the process, to process invoicing. Leveraging tools like AI, you can now remove the manual data entry requirements of invoice processing, letting the system extract information from invoice documents, intelligently perform the three-way match, and flagging any variance for you to review. Second, you can see the full story behind each and every single invoice. You can get all the information you need all the way back to the initial purchase requisition. For example, you'll be able to pull the item account codes from the purchase request so you can see how the budgets are affected before the invoice are paid. You can also see the history of the approvals on the request, including the specific approvers who you may need to reach out to for more information. Finally, with all of the context at your fingertips, you'll be able to mitigate any risks and spend with confidence by knowing exactly what and when to pay so you can optimize your cash flow, capitalize on early payment incentives, and avoid any late payment. What does this mean for your AP team? Well, it gives them the centralized bank control and visibility they need to be effective. It gives them the automation to be efficient in capturing invoice details and more effective in conducting the three-way match or two-way match. And for the company, it provides cost savings opportunity, improved vendor relationships, and payment flexibility. All the promises of an automated AP system and more by creating a link between procurement and AP. So Mary Schaefer here we have is from AP Now, who is one of the top 50 AP influencers, and she has this to say. At the end of the day, if there's friction between AP and procurement, or if the data that goes between AP and procurement isn't accurate, what you're doing is end up spending more money than you should. It's all about having the visibility and control to be efficient in spending and strategic in how you spend it. So this is our vision at Procurify, giving you a single system to do everything from procure to pay. You have all of the procurement data at your fingertips to help you automate the process of creating, managing, and paying bills. So now I'll send it back to Josh to highlight these key capabilities in each of these areas.
Excellent. Thank you, Yishi. Okay, so let's start by going through how you can create bills in Procurify, and then we'll move on to how you can manage and pay them. So starting with creating bills, first off, you need to get the invoice itself into the system. So at Procurify, we offer a secured inbox email address that is unique for every customer, where you can forward invoices directly to from your typical email client. So whether that's Gmail or Microsoft Outlook, you can just forward those emails to that secured, unique email address. And you can decide whether you just want your AP team to be able to forward those invoices to that inbox, or if you want to share it with your internal purchasers or your external vendors for them to forward. It really depends on your workflows and your internal controls, but that email inbox address is yours. And when you forward the invoice to this inbox, it automatically creates a draft bill in Procurify and attaches that invoice file to that record. So you now have that single place in your business to house all of your invoices. When the invoice is forwarded, we actually go a couple steps further than just uploading the invoice file to that draft bill. Well, first, we've incorporated AI-enhanced OCR technology that's going to intelligently parse your invoice files and then extract the header and line level information and then automatically pre-populate this data in that draft bill for your review. This removes the manual data entry part of that process, which helps you as an AP team move faster, and it eliminates those errors that come from manual data entry. And we're not done there. Once the AI pulls the invoice data into the draft bill, the system will then also automatically perform a three-way match to compare the invoice items to the purchase order items and the receipts for each of those items. And it will go a step further than that by flagging any variances. So this includes things like variances in unit costs between the invoice and the PO, and variances in the item quantities being billed in the invoice versus what the quantity of items that have been received from the PO. This way, you'll be able to see very clearly if you've been overbilled because a line item is higher on the invoice than what you agreed to pay in the purchase order, or if you're being billed for an item that hasn't arrived yet. These flags give you the visibility to easily manage those exceptions. You can now go back to get clarity from the purchaser or vendor, or sync quickly with your approvers directly to understand how to proceed and unblock yourself in getting to that point of making a payment. By default, we enforce a three-way match, meaning that you can't submit a bill until you've received all the items in the bill. But we've built the flexibility in our system to let you manage your AP process in a way that works best for your business. So if your organization doesn't include receiving as part of your standard workflow, you can turn off three-way matching in your Procurify account, which will then let you submit bills that include unreceived items, which would be what we call a two-way match. And this flexibility, combining it with other flexible features of the Procurify platform, like our existing auto PO feature, allows you to free up more workflow options to suit more organizations. So, for example, traditionally you'd have to have someone at each step of request, approve, purchase, receive, and then bill matching. But now, if you want, you can just request, approve, and then match a bill. So, really, it allows you to set up Procurify in the way that works best for your business. Okay, so now you've created a bill. Now let's move into how you can manage bills in Procurify. And as we're talking about flexibility, we give you the ability to handle creating bills for deposit payments and prepayments. Our deposits capability helps you better align with accounting best practice. You can set a deposit amount when you're creating that PO, and then you can bill for that deposit by assigning a deposit line item to a prepaid account code. When you're ready to pay that final bill with the full amount, you can attribute that full amount to the proper account code for the line items in the PO, and a deposit credit line item will be automatically created for you that will zero out that prepaid account and offset it, as you can see in the visual here. You can also do non-deposit prepayments, such as submitting bills for partial quantities of an item or for partial costs. So, for example, in the cases where you're asked to do installment payments over a period of time. The flexibility of our solution unlocks a lot of different use cases. So we could go through a bunch of different examples here, depending on what your business needs. You may not need all of these, or you may need some, or you might need them all. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, you can create standard PO to invoice bills while being able to make those deposit payments or those prepayments along the way. But you can also create bills for a vendor's invoices that reference multiple purchase orders. So you could pull those multiple POs into your bill, and then that would pull in all of the PO items from the applicable POs for you to then match against with that invoice. You can bill for POs with recurring items, which is pretty common for purchases like software subscriptions. You can bill for blanket POs, which are common for things like service-based contracts. And you don't even need a PO to create a bill. You can bill for non-backed invoices, non-PO backed invoices, and rely on the billing approval workflow to get the clearance that you need before proceeding to payment. It really is up to you and how you want to set up your controls. Procurify can accommodate that. And as I mentioned, all this flexibility, it only works when those right controls are in place. And we've made sure to address that in the system itself by giving you granular user role permissions so you can have that control over exactly which actions different roles take in our AP module. So you can give certain roles view-only access to bills. You can give other roles the ability to edit, draft, pending, and denied bills. And you can give only some roles the ability to edit approved bills. This helps you ensure proper separation of duty while also making sure you're staying compliant with company policies. You can also set bill and payment approval groups with multiple levels to make sure that you have full alignment before you go to make that payment. And you can be confident once you're ready and everything's signed off. These approval groups allow you to specify limits for bill amounts. They allow you to specify limits for item variance amounts and for item variance percentages. And these can be customized for specific users. So even within the same level, you can be very specific on how much an individual can approve. So once that bill is approved, it is time to pay. And we offer an integrated solution for US and Canadian customers to pay bills directly in Procurify. So you can initiate that payment as soon as the bill is approved, and you can schedule the payment to optimize for cash flow and make sure that you're not missing any payment dates. In the US, we offer ACH, wire transfer, and check payment options, and we offer electronic funds transfer to our Canadian customers. And for any bills that get paid outside of Procurify, say if it's a credit card for our non-North American clients, it's really easy to mark those as paid as well for consistency in the system. And finally, we have deep integrations with leading ERPs and accounting systems. So this is going to let you ensure that your bills and payments can be tracked wherever you manage your month end. And these integrations are for QuickBooks, NetSuite, Sage Intacct, or Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And before we jump over to Nick and get into the demo, I wanted to share a recent quote from one of our AP customers because I think he really nailed it. So Michael, one of our customers, shared that Procurify has helped his company make their AP process 50% faster, and that we've been able to give them, and I quote, more firepower with the same amount of people. And I think that speaks for itself. So I'm going to pass it over to Nick now to guide us through our product demo.
Perfect. And I feel like Josh has explained it pretty well. It's always nice when somebody does half your job for you. But let's jump in and actually show it to you live. So we're in our Procurify dashboard here. And so let's jump into the AP module. And so you'll notice that up at the top left there, we've got an inbox email. That's what Josh mentioned earlier. Just send all your invoices from your vendors to that inbox email. And then you see on the top one we've got here, we've got an AI draft. Now, in my using this day to day, it takes about 20 or 30 seconds for it to scan. So we're not, sending it overseas for like human intervention or anything like that. Just scanned and it's up there in a couple seconds. And let's jump in here. Now, as mentioned earlier, we're going to take a look at the attachment and extract a bunch of data. So we're capturing a lot of header information that you'll see over on the right side there. So things like your vendor, the invoice number, the dates, and then a crucial piece is it looks for a purchase order number as well. But we're also extracting all of the line details off of the attachment as well. So if we scroll down to see what's been matched, sure enough, the system found a couple of matches from an existing purchase order. And as Josh called out earlier, we're also going to be calling out your any discrepancies. So in this example, we haven't received all the items, but we got billed for all the items. So I saw that was one of the questions in the Q&A. And so you can treat this a couple different ways. We might just want to sit on this bill until the rest of the items get delivered. So treat it as a draft. Or maybe it needs to be paid right away. And so therefore we better dig into this discrepancies. And so as Yishi mentioned earlier, that is one of the huge benefits of having a cohesive system. If we want to go investigate the discrepancies, we can click on the details here. We can go ahead and click back into that purchase order, go tracing things back through the steps, or even use our little chat bubble functionality as well. So we make it super easy to go investigate these things. You're not just running around the office playing AP detective like a lot of our clients say that they do on a regular basis. Another big benefit of tying the whole system together is the fact that we've shifted coding upstream. So unlike a pure just AP tool where it's making an educated guess on how something should be coded, we've actually shifted that coding to the purchasing side of the house. So we've got that sorted already, whether it's departments, grants, projects, whatever it might be, that coding is going to be shifted upstream. Again, less playing AP detective here. And then as Josh called out earlier as well, you'll notice that we're really easily tracking what's been billed already. So whether that's billing against a certain quantity, so maybe it's something like a blanket purchase order that we're drawing down hours over time, easy to track that, or you need to track a deposit of some sort. You're going to get that kind of visibility as well. Now, you might be thinking, well, what about non-purchase order backed line items or even non-PO backed bills as a whole? And so that's what we've got here. There was another line item on the invoice attachment that was sent over. And so the system scans that. If we want to go ahead and apply that to the bill, we just grab it, add it on, and we're good to go. And so, of course, that same logic applies to a completely non-PO backed bill as well. So, get that unified AP process for both PO and non-PO backed bills. And then finally, you'll notice that there is one other item on there. So in this example, we got billed for some of the items on the purchase order, but not all. And so this unbilled PO item, this is just going to sit here until the next time we get a bill, or who knows, maybe we get like an end of the month bill from this vendor. We can add all the items that haven't been tackled yet, put them on whenever the vendor bills us as appropriate. And then finally, the other big piece here is your bill approvals. And now this is a nice part that we haven't changed much relative to our old functionality. And this has always been one of the huge benefits of having a unified system, is we're not just trying to speed up and get approval without knowing what happened if items were purchased or received or not. We can build in a unified approval logic, including some sort of variance-based logic. And so what we see is quite often that can be a really good time savings, where if everything matches, or maybe it matches within, say, 5% or $500, system says, okay, great, just one person needs to approve this. But as soon as it exceeds one of those variance thresholds, the system will say, hey, hang on, you need to get another layer of approval on that. So getting that unified approval logic is a big win, getting the end-to-end P2P system. Now, as mentioned earlier, from here, really easy to go ahead and make our payments. So once a bill has been matched and approved, it'll then show up here in your pay bills screen. You've got some nice filtering options. So say, for example, we might want to filter by an existing vendor and put a bunch of bills on one payment, maybe save a few bucks in processing costs that way. But really easy to go ahead, add them all onto one payment. And then from here, we just choose our payment methods. As mentioned earlier, we support ACHs, wires, and physical checks in the US, EFTs in Canada. Or as Josh mentioned, if you just want to pay, if you need to pay something externally and just mark it as paid, easy, we can go ahead and do that as well. But basically, sure enough, I don't have this account set up in mine. But from here, you go ahead and you just send it through your approvals. And again, you get that another layer of approval around your bill payments, in addition to a layer of approval, or maybe multiple, around the bill matching side of things. So building in multiple gates as far as accountability and compliance go there. Now, the big question we always get, though, is, okay, if I'm running all the way through my AP process in Procurify, how do I do my accrual reporting? And so that is a new enhancement that we've made as well, is our unbilled items report. And so this is going to be just one big, dead simple report of everything that's been purchased, and we get some really good visibility into what's been received versus what hasn't. So just a really great, easy spot to help close out your books, whether that's month end, quarter end, whatever it might be. You've got this big, dead simple unbilled items report. This also serves as a nice tool to be able to circle back on things. Let's say a few months ago, we received some items, but we still haven't been billed for them. You can use your filter options here, or your sort options, to go ahead and see what's still out there, dig into them, make it really easy to investigate and follow up with your vendors. So yeah, that's kind of the AP in a nutshell there. If you want to dig into it more, certainly, there's you're going to have options to reach out to us. And I see there's a whole bunch of questions, so we'll get into those in just a minute as well.
Great. Thank you, Nick. That was awesome. Okay. So let's now start to move into the question period. But before we get to that, as we conclude this presentation, I wanted to first offer some takeaways for you before we move on. First, we encourage you to audit your current AP processes so that you can start to identify those inefficiencies in your organization, whether that be the manual invoice handling or maybe a lack of visibility into your purchase orders. And once you've kind of done that due diligence, you can start to map out where automation can start to make the biggest impact for your business. Next, try to identify some of the most time-consuming, error-prone AP tasks in your organization. And if automation can help, like things like AI advanced OCR technology or three-way matching, see if those can help you simplify those processes and reduce some of the errors. Consider unifying your procurement and AP tools by adopting a single system that allows you to do that end-to-end procure to pay through line that Yishi talked about being such an important piece of connecting that context along the entire workflow. That's going to help foster better communication in your organization, more transparency in your organization, and ultimately it's going to give you more control over your spend. And if what we talked about today resonates with you and you've done your internal looking here and you say, yes, I think we need a solution, please feel encouraged to schedule a call with our sales team. Or if you're a current customer, reach out to your CSM to see how your AP solution can be tailored to meet the specific needs of your organization. So I'm going to now move on to the question period here. And shortly, our team is going to launch a poll as well. And if you're interested in getting a personalized demo from a product specialist, just click yes in that poll. Oh, I just saw it pop up for me. Click yes in that poll, and then we will reach out to you directly to set that up. So if you're interested, that's an easy way for you to kind of get that going. Or you can also click the QR code here. That will take you to a form where you can talk to sales directly. And as I mentioned as well, if you're a current customer, and I know there's some current customers on this call looking to get more information about accounts payable, you have a CSM who would love to talk more about using or improving your usage of AP in Procurify. So let's jump into some questions now. I'm going to take the first one. I see a question on, was there an update that I missed? I do not have the AP option. So that could be one of two things. So yes, there was an update that you may have missed. A couple weeks ago, we actually launched an all-new AP experience for Procurify. So we've been doing accounts payable for several years, but this recent update really changed this experience. It added a lot of these AI capabilities. It added a lot of automation capabilities like the automated three-way matching. So for some of our current customers, you may say, hey, my experience is not the same as what you showed today. We are rolling this out. So you're going to be migrated to this new experience in the coming months, which is, we're very excited to get this to all of our customers. If you're really interested and you want to get this now, talk to your CSM. We are very happy to accelerate the migration process for customers who are interested. So ping your CSM, set up a call. They'll talk through it and they'll help get you on our latest version of our accounts payable solution. If you don't see accounts payable or you can't manage accounts payable, that's likely because you haven't purchased that module as part of your contract. So again, reach out to your CSM and express your interest in starting to include accounts payable in your Procurify setup, and they would be happy to walk you through what that process looks like. Either way, your CSM is going to be your go-to, and they can help get you in the right direction. Hopefully that answered everything. If there's any more clarity that you need, throw another question in, and I know the team will be happy to flag it here. Okay. Do all items on the PO need to be received before the bill is emailed in? Nick, do you want to answer that for us?
Yeah, and as we kind of touched on, you have two options. You can either just sit on it as a draft and wait for those items to be delivered, or the system also supports partial billing. So we order 10 widgets, we receive 5, we get a bill for 5. Cool, we can draw down against that and then bill against the rest of them later. So yep, you don't have to wait. We've got a few options there depending on the use case.
Excellent. Next question. Can we specify three-way matching and two-way matching for specific vendors, or is it a one or the other option that must be selected? Nick, do you want to take that one too?
Yeah, so there's two parts to this answer. The forcing the three-way match is a domain-wide setting on the AP side of things, but you also have the option of specifying it when you're creating a purchase order right down to the line item basis. So for example, you might have physical items and services on one purchase order. You can choose it so the services bypass receiving, but the physical items don't. So there's a few different ways to handle this. Yeah, reach out and we can show you more.
Excellent. All right, another one for you, Nick. What is the best way to handle invoices paid by credit card where the invoice is paid prior to items shipped? Is there a way to report on items bills paid but not received?
Yes, definitely. That would be more in like our procurement and receiving modules. But yeah, absolutely. We support paying with a credit card and then leaving it out of the AP side that you can still report against them, you can still receive against them. Yep.
Okay. As it comes to bill approval routing or variances, I found that when processing a bill against a PO, the variance is pulling based on the amount approved, but in theory, you can add an entire new line to the bill and the variance is not pulling on the new invoice total. Is there any way to pull the total as a locked amount, and any additions, whether adjusting a line or adding a line, could impact that variance? Are you following that one, Nick?
Yeah, so I'd have to double check the functionality. I'm 90% sure that a new line item added on would trigger a variance because it was not on a PO, but I'll double check that functionality for you. And again, reach out to your CSM and we can clarify that for you. Yeah, because we have tweaked the functionality a little bit in this new version.
Okay, another one for you. If there are multiple persons in charge of reviewing and submitting the invoices for their locations, those locations belong to the same domain. When going to the draft folder, how can they tell which invoices belong to them without having to actually open every single draft?
Yeah, and this is something that this is feedback we've heard, and I think we're thinking about this long term of building in like more like workflows of who processes certain bills. It's a complex question because as you saw in my demo, you could very well have a bill that has multiple locations, multiple departments, whatever. So who sees those is kind of a complex challenge to solve. But I know it's something we're thinking about in terms of our long-term vision of who sees what within the AP tool.
Excellent. Okay, you've kind of answered this one, but worth reiterating. If there is no PO created or necessary, can this still be processed?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the big wins with the line level extraction is we handle non-PO backed bills a lot faster and a lot easier. Yeah.
All right, next one. Can you run an AP aging report in Procurify?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Whether that's in the EP side, we've got a bunch of different reporting views, or in the bill pay, you can see. You may have noticed that when I was going to go process them, that a bunch of them were even highlighted as being overdue. So, yep, we've got a few spots where you can see this sort of reporting.
Excellent. Can we also set up approval levels by department?
So we do that on the front end of things, on your when you're making your purchase by location, by department, whatever. On the AP side, it's more around financial limits. So threshold based as far as absolute dollar value or variance threshold based. So there it's more like financial because again, we see a lot more bills where you've got multiple locations or departments on there. So it's a little bit trickier to trigger it. Within there, you can choose, like, let's say, for example, Josh is one department manager. I want to send it to Josh versus somebody else. It's not an automatic trigger because, again, you might have a bit more flexibility there. But on the front end, that's one of the big triggers that clients use, getting approval before purchase. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Um, Next question. How do we deal with invoices if they don't pull the line information correctly? It seems like it could take longer to process AP if it's trying to pull line information and if it's struggling to do so with the AI. Yishi, do you want to jump in a little bit on how the AI extraction works and what that looks like?
Yeah, happy to. So as Josh mentioned, one of the biggest change among many, one of the biggest changes we introduced in this recent AP relaunch is the line item extraction for invoices. So the previous iteration mainly just automate the invoice header information like the PO, the invoice number, etc. What we introduce now is the line item extraction. So that's a really big change, and hopefully that introduce a lot more automation to your system. Right now, we're using a third party who specializes in this OCR technology, and it's a fairly mature technology. And since the launch we had about for over a month now, we're seeing really positive feedback from our customers. And in the aggregate, we know the performance is good, especially for certain fields. The quality really depends on a few things, such as the quality or the structure of the invoice information that you have, among many other things. So we know for fields like invoice description or item description or item account code, those usually process really well, but there are also other trouble areas that isn't performing as high because those will be like at 98% or higher. So I think the best way to help us continuously improve the performance of the automation is for you to reach out to a support team, file a bug, or through a CSM, right? Give us an example of an invoice that you find not processing as well, and our product engineering team is all hands on deck in improving the quality of that performance.
And if I can maybe jump in, that's a good dovetail into the next question about how we treat blanket POs. And like, yeah, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of, do you draw down against it manually, or is this something maybe we can automate? Yeah, so again, we appreciate the feedback. And this, as Josh said, it's a pretty new change, and we're thrilled to have feedback and thrilled to iterate on it as we go.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, and you've yeah, kind of answered the next one as well. So we'll skip down. Question here on integrations. We need to sync bills to QuickBooks before paying. Is that still available?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're using your bill pay functionality in Procurify, it'll be a double sync. So you would get the bill processed, approved, and then sync it over to QuickBooks. And then let's say it's net 30 terms, so you pay it 30 days from now. Then you would run a resync, and it would mark the bill as paid in QuickBooks. So yep, that's exactly how it works.
Perfect. We have a roadmap question for you, Yishi. Are there any plans to have an expedited payment option?
Yeah, good question. So right now on our roadmap, we're looking to introduce a direct debit functionality for the payment. What that means is instead of having to pre-fund the financial account that is with Procurify, you will be able to link your corporate accounts with our system so that at the point of scheduling the payment to your vendor, will be pulling that amount, basically direct debiting to facilitate that. And within that option, there will be a couple options as well, one more expedited and one more standard. So more details to come on that one. And if you are interested in participating in the beta, which is coming up in the next few months, please definitely reach out to your customer success manager.
Thank you. Okay, another question. This might be due to the recent change from the old legacy accounts payable solution to the new one that released recently. The question is, where did the accrual reports go? Nick, do you want to provide a little bit of insight in that? The change of
Yeah, and
plans?
it's for sure. So we used to have two separate accrual and unbilled items reports that were sort of similar, and we've just unified them. So now the unbilled item report has a lot more in it, and you also have an option of, if you go into your export screen in your settings, you can export that as well, which has a lot more information than the old accrual report did. So yeah, we've just unified them and hopefully given you a bit more there.
Perfect. Okay, a question on payments. And this might be a little too in the weeds, so maybe we take this one offline, but I'll ask it later and I'll let Nick and Yishi kind of give his best answer as I can. When bill payments are initiated, does Procurify front the payment and then it's reimbursed by the entity, or does the payment come straight from the entity's account? Can we answer that one on the call?
Yeah, so right now it's you transfer money into Procurify and then make the payment. As Ishi was saying, in the near future, we're gonna just extract it and pull it.
Right.
But no, we won't be fronting the money for you. We just extract it when you need to make the payment.
Perfect. Can you automate the approval workflow based on invoice amount instead of choosing that individually per invoice?
So that goes into the approval logic, but you do still have to choose somebody. So you still need somebody to go in and review it and choose the approver. But yeah, but approval amount is one of the triggers. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. All right, we're coming up on 45. We just hit 45. So we'll do a couple more and then we will want to be respectful of your time. So we'll take a couple more and then any other questions that we don't get to, we can follow up with those offline. Where were we?
So
Oh, the 18. All right. Can you use the AP module, just the AP module, or is the system only for the entire procure to pay process? We want to keep PO placement in our ERP. Nick, can you talk a little bit about configuration?
yeah, so you can use it as just just if you want to process bills just purely through AP. However, we wouldn't have any sort of a link from a PO that was created in your ERP. Now that said, reach out to our sales team depending on the ERP. We might have options of like sending all of the above. But no, we don't have the ability to just like, to pull POs from another system.
Okay.
And Ken,
Uh,
yeah, and Ken, sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, good.
Yeah, the next question was if OCR can read non-English invoices, and yep, definitely can. If you have and supports tons and tons of languages. Yep, not a problem. Spanish, French, Japanese, yep, whatever it might be.
Okay. Um, well, I think we should wrap it up here. We're already at 46 now. But thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this webinar today. And if you have any more questions, or if you have some questions that didn't get addressed, feel free to reach out to us. If you are not currently a Procurify customer, as I mentioned, talk to sales, click that QR code or get in touch with that email. If you are a current customer, reach out to your CSM. They can be your go-to person. They have a ton of context and can help get all of the answers that you need when it comes to automating AP. Thank you, Yishi and Nick, for your time today and your contributions to the session. And thank you again, everyone, for joining today. We hope to talk to you all again very soon.
Thanks, folks.